First, I'd like to welcome everybody for attending our second Fireside Chat brought to you by the Global Wellness Institute. My name is Steve Spiro. I'm chairman of the Halotherapy and Salt Initiative with the Global Wellness Institute. It's a great organization. You could check it out at globalwellnessinstitute.org. I'm also the CEO and founder of Halotherapy Solutions. We're the largest distributor of halotherapy equipment to spas and wellness centers around the world. I'm really fortunate to have with me two great speakers. They're two of my favorite people in the industry. Tammy Pahel is co-general manager and VP spas of one of my favorite spas in the world is at the Carillon in Miami Beach. And Amy McDonald, who's one of the top spa consultants in the Americas. She is the CEO and founder of Under a Tree. One of the hottest topics there is right now, especially post-COVID or during COVID, is touchless services. So we're really fortunate to be able to talk about this today. We're going to have both Amy and Tammy talk about it, and we'll have about 20 minutes left over at the end of the hour for questions. So please send your questions after Tammy and Amy are done speaking, ideally, so it doesn't keep popping up. And we'll answer all of the questions. Everything's going to be recorded today, so if you have come late, or you need to leave early, we'll send a recording of this to everybody. So again, we're really excited. It's going to be very conversational. That's why we call it a fireside chat. And we're just excited to get going. So maybe Tammy and Amy, I'm going to start off with the same question to both of you. Tammy, you can go first. Tammy, you're one of the pioneers in even the whole touchless wellness phrasing I've found in the last 3 to 4 months, so maybe even beyond before that. Can you describe what's your definition of touchless wellness and what's the impact of COVID on that segment of the spa industry?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm happy to be here and thanks for inviting me. The thing that we all know COVID did was cause a lot of anxiety and stress and sleepless nights. So one of the things that I was fortunate about 2 years ago, I started getting involved with touchless technology. And we were fortunate to get about 11 different partners here at the Carillon Miami Wellness Resort that would provide services outside of being in a room one-on-one with a person. So the nice thing for us was that we have 400 units that are residents. We have 50% of our revenue comes from our local community. So we had two groups that we were focused on, and as a wellness resort and facility, we were trying to engage with our local community as well as the residents. What better way to do that than through the touchless wellness technology and experiences that we offer? And, we offer 11 different experiences. And we see that people, residents as well as locals, are participating and a lot less anxiety. I'm not saying we don't have massages and facials and body treatments, because we do. But what we did notice is people had a lot of anxiety, wanted to know how we were cleaning, what we were doing, how were we disinfecting, which we're fortunate because we were using hospital grade disinfectants. But again, they were nervous to go in a room and get a massage and a facial. So for those, we have 11 different options for the touchless wellness technology.
No, that's great. And have you seen an uptick? I don't know how long you've been open for or reopened, but have you seen, since COVID has kind of hit, have you seen, because you said you started this a couple of years ago, would you say there's been a 20% or 50% increase in the amount of people asking for touchless versus massage? How is the split between the modalities you offer?
Well, I started exploring the touchless 2 years ago. Actually was a speaker in Paris at the Hotel and Spa Forum, and we talked about how to elevate your spa experience through technology. Fast forward, in late 2019, I started acquiring partners who wanted to be in a wellness space. And then we ended up having 11 different partners, 11 different companies, and Halotherapy is one of them, as well as, which I love, the Halo Pocket, because I fly. And when I'm flying, that's anxiety too. But to answer your question, probably about 25% of our calls are asking, what can I do? I need wellness in my life, but what can I do if I don't want a massage? So we have 11 different options that we can offer people to. And the other part, Steve, I can't remember if you've actually been to the Carillon, but we have a huge thermal area that's closed because of the CDC. So the nice thing for us, one of the 11 experiences is the Halo, and it's a one-on-one experience. So it's perfect. People don't have anxiety because they're going in by themselves. And so we see about 25% of our calls moving to the touchless versus getting a massage or facial or body treatment.
Oh, that's great. And Tammy, I have been down there. In fact, I tried to hide in one of the closets so I could stay overnight and use it. So it was hard getting me out of the Carillon. That place is unbelievable. And I guess one of the other benefits of Touchless also, I guess the labor cost is pretty much zero or very close to zero, since it's kind of, you don't need labor for it, right? Like when I go into like the Halo IR, somebody presses a button. So I assume that's a good, from a business perspective, an operational perspective, that's good for the Carillon or spas too, the touchless service.
Absolutely. I mean, in the spa industry as a whole, labor is a big part of it. So having, touchless wellness experiences to offer, I have one person who basically escorts our customer base to 11 different experiences. And he makes sure they get in the experience, that everything's good. He does his rounds and makes sure everyone's comfortable and good. And most of the time, the person that comes in for touchless, they're doing multiple touchless experiences. It's not just one experience. They're doing multiple. At least I would tell you 4 at a time, because that can consume anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what experiences.
No, that makes sense. Well, no, thanks, Tammy. Amy, let's switch over to you. So you deal with many different spas, all different ranges in size, from the top resorts to, you talk to day spas. You really have a great pulse of the entire industry. So I'd love to hear from you also. How would you define touchless services, and what have you seen from your clients or from the industry in terms of the impact of COVID?
Well, first of all, thank you, Steve, for inviting me. And I apologize that I had camera issues today. So I think from my standpoint, touchless wellness, I think is a fairly new term. I think that the touchless piece is really been obviously adapted because of COVID, but we were seeing on our projects, whether they were, day spas to, resorts and larger brands or even independent businesses, we were really seeing, like Tammy said, and I think you mentioned, really an increase in interest in it. And so obviously COVID has increased that. But when we think about the fact that labor cost was really what was driving this new term touchless wellness, prior to COVID. And that's really because the majority of spas, and I'm speaking mostly about, within the US, but I would say that this is pretty predominant all over the world. If 70% of our revenue, generally speaking, is coming from massage, and 55 to 75% of that revenue is going back into labor costs, right? We really needed to make a shift. And so that's what we're seeing really across the board, from, small to large spas, is the fact that touchless is really important. So, and we're seeing it not only within spas, right? We're also seeing it within fitness. We're now seeing it within hotels. We're seeing a change in the way that things are being built. Also, not only because of COVID, but also because, people are wanting relevant health benefit, right? solid evidence-based treatments that don't actually have to have a labor component. So we saw it before, and we're continuing to see it across, all the different segments.
No, that's great. I think what I'll do now is I think I'll drill down on each of you. I'll ask a few questions specifically to you, Amy, and then we'll come back to Tammy. But I did want to have a kind of an umbrella conversation about touchless wellness to start. But Amy, describe your business in a little bit more detail and the types of clients and projects you work with.
Sure. So we've been in business for about 15 years, and we work with day spas, resort spas, destination spas. We also work in senior care facilities. We work with integrative medical facilities, and we also do a lot of work now, actually more than ever, with mixed use development projects. We work with existing businesses to help them grow, and then we also work with new builds. So, we really kind of cover the spectrum, and we work with, independent properties, but we also work with some of the larger brands like Four Seasons and Hilton. So and I think because we're also global, it's been, interesting just to see how the industry is continuing to evolve so quickly right now.
No, that's great. And talk a little bit next about, what does wellness look like now with your current client projects?
Yeah, so we have three different types of clients. We have clients that we work with that actually have wellness products. So we, through COVID, we're working with them on if their touchless wellness experience was relevant, if it wasn't, how it could be more relevant, how they could go and pivot from B2B to B2C. So we did kind of a lot of support in that way. And obviously the companies that were able to pivot from B2B to B2C, obviously were much more successful. The other area is new builds. So, through COVID, we've been working with actually an independent project in California, and then another one in the Florida area. And both of them were looking for a model that was going to take care of a local guest, a membership guest, a hotel guest, but also wanted to have a standalone facility. So the facility is by itself, but has, a lodging component. And what was interesting with all of these is that they were all asking for touchless, right? Both within the fitness area, within the hotel rooms, and also within the spa. So we're seeing a lot of growth in that area. And I'll just give you a couple examples. One of them would be not unlike what the Carillon is doing, right? Looking for a recovery area. So how can a guest come in and have touchless wellness and in the form of recovery, better sleep, better muscle, right? We're working with clients on introducing things like Theragun, right? Something that you can bring into a treatment that's touchless, that you can introduce, you can upsell, but then you can retail. So we've been working a lot with current companies that are really wanting to bring in something that's touchless, that's relevant, but has a retail piece. Tammy touched on the Halo Pocket. That for us has been really, really a critical tool, again, for spas of all types, right? To be able to purchase something they can use in the treatment or in a lounge area, but that also, obviously can be retailed. And then in a larger way, what we're seeing is also changes in design. So, we're looking at businesses that are either building or have an existing business that are wanting to have some of their hotel rooms converted into like a private fitness area or a private spa area so that they can obviously from a hygienic standpoint control access, right? We're looking at wellness in guest rooms in ways that we would never have imagined. We're also seeing day spas, right? Starting to partner with local medical centers or they're partnering with, mental health experts. And so even though they may not be able to expand, they're expanding in depth with the type of services they're offering. And instead of bringing that labor piece in, right, they're partnering. So it's just been an explosion of wellness, I think, really across all the different categories.
Now, it's really fascinating, kind of like what we've seen with our business and what I've talked to a lot of people in the industry, whether it's the halotherapy industry or other kind of related holistic industries. You know, COVID obviously whacked us all. And for at least a couple of months, many of us were just either paralyzed, you know, either mentally or physically or operationally, and we couldn't do anything. And frankly, some of the, whether they're day spas or larger spas, have either cut back people, really important people, or they've just been scared to move ahead because they don't know what the future is. But what we've seen is frankly, the minority of people that have really either been planning to go into touchless or has spent some time when things were shut down strategically thinking more about the next 1 to 2 years, I believe are going to come out so much stronger, because we're seeing the consumers so much more interested in wellness, whether it's preventive wellness, you know, prescriptive wellness, mental wellness, you know, what we're seeing in our business, respiratory wellness, preventive, you know, our halotherapy business is up like 250% in the last 3-4 months. So I think it's really imperative for people not to be paralyzed and to carefully plan out what they can offer, because the demand and the pent-up demand for wellness is never going to be greater. So I think it's going to be great for those that are aggressive. And I look at, you know, what your clients are doing, Amy, and what you're consulting with them, and what the Carillon has been thinking about for 2 years and is really now implementing. I think those are going to be the winners in the future. And frankly, much bigger winners than I hate to say it, but before COVID, without COVID. People really are going to care about wellness now, and they're going to want to get out of their houses and just feel good. So I think this is going to be great.
And it's also going to help their bottom line, right? I mean, a lot of spas have really, you know, taken a hit, obviously, and will continue to for a while. So even though they may have less people coming in, you know, touchless wellness is going to allow them to drive more, you know, profit to the bottom line, just with labor, you know, not being such a heavy load. So
right. And it's a combination of, you know, labor. And as Tammy said, you know, people are often coming in or using 4 different treatments, whereas in the past, maybe they only got a massage or sat in the sauna. So I think it's great. Okay, Tammy, let's switch.
Steve,
yeah.
I was just going to say, to bounce off something you said, which was right on point for what is really happening in a live operation, is, for instance, beyond Halo. We have salt float baths, we have Vibrogenics, and we have Prism. All 3 of those work on the respiratory system, the lymphatic system, and work on the immunity, right? To build it up. Mm-hmm. So that's one segment. And then we have another segment that focuses on sleep, because we all know from anxiety, right? You because of anxiety, people are sleepless. I would tell you that most of the people that come in here to visit us at the Carillon Miami Wellness Resort, they absolutely say 2 things. I want to build up my immune system, and I can't sleep. So Rasha, Pure Wave, which is Vemi, and Spa Wave is 3 other treatments that focus on the brain and sleeping. So if you look at those two groups, we have, you know, several options inside each to be able to help people. And I think that's why people want to do more than one thing. They might come in and do like the Halo and Vibrogenics. Vibrogenics is sound therapy, vibrational therapy. It's in an oxygen room. So you know, they'll couple that, the salt float bath, again, you're in 800 pounds of Epsom salt floating, relaxes the muscle tissue, again, helps your respiratory system. And then the sleep side, it's funny because I would never, even when I'm off, I don't lay down in the middle of the day and fall asleep. Mm-hmm. So we have this Vemi Pure Wave room, and it basically removes sticky static from your cells. But what it does also is it's vibrational, has sound therapy to it, and it also is very calming. I laid down on the lounge chairs thinking, oh, okay, this is nice. I fell asleep 3 times, and I don't even snore, and I snored 3 times and woke myself up. And so, I mean, it's just very calming. So some of the things that we have for wellness beyond massage and facial and body treatments, you know, that touch is very healing in itself. But right now, a lot of people, like I said, have anxiety about it. So we have another wellness option. And beyond our technology that we offer here, we also have integrative medicine, oriental medicine. We have a plastic surgeon here. We have a sex therapist here. We have a executive coach. So we have a tremendous amount of talent and wellness under one roof, which I feel today, you know, people are looking for that experience that can envelop more than just one thing.
No, that's great. Now, I'm curious from your business, call it operations or marketing, do you try to package 3 or 4 things together when a guest comes in, or do you try to just sell them one-off things? I assume, like when I was there, I think it was part of the recovery or immunity package, which I thought was great. It was well thought out. It was in a specific order, and it's a great way to get the most dollars from each individual, as well as provide the most benefit to any guest.
Right. Well, yes. And to your point, if you come in as a day guest, we offer 11 different experiences that people can try. And if you book 4 of those treatments, we give you $40 off. So we do have like a special offer for October and November for our residents as well as our day guests. And then our hotel, the Carillon Miami Wellness Resort, will open likely mid-November, and we are building overnight wellness packages as we speak.
No, that's great. Now you've mentioned a couple times the 11 different touchless services. Can you go through each of them for 10, 15 seconds, just kind of tell them what it is? So if you remember them all off the top of your head, if you haven't written,
sure. When we talk about, respiratory and your immune system, of course, our leader is Halotherapy and the Halo Pocket. I love, honestly, from a travel perspective, jumping on a plane and I wear a mask and I wear a shield, but to be able to use the Halo Pocket before I get on, during the time I'm on, and then getting off, I have to say it definitely reduces my anxiety, right? Because I do think about breathing the same air. You're in a plane, and there's, it was funny. I was in Dallas, and going there, the plane was half full. Coming back to Miami, it was full. So I had a lot of anxiety. I didn't have the pocket at the time, but now I do. Yeah. And so that definitely helps with the respiratory. The salt float bath.
One quick thing now. The interesting thing about your operation, you also have the Halo IR sauna, which is the only sauna that combines halotherapy and infrared sauna in the same unit. So people come into your facility and use that, and you're finding that people will be using that as well as the handheld Halo generator that basically fits in your pocket as a boost between sessions or for traveling, right? So you're finding people are using both halotherapy pieces of equipment, which I think is fascinating too,
Right. Yeah. And listen, for the Halo infrared is great for the respiratory. It's great for the skin. Everybody's wants to look younger, longer. It's definitely great for, reducing my granddaughter has psoriasis. So it is something I absolutely would want her to get inside the Halo and do it a couple times a week. It's great for athletes. And to be honest, we have the Miami Heat that comes here, and we have it's called a muscle recovery circuit. Halo is a part of that. First, they get into the cryotherapy, which is called Avalanche. They're in it for 3 minutes. Then they go to the Halo to warm up internally, and again, to relax the muscle tissue, to relax the respiratory system. And then they would go to the the Prism Light Pod, which is cold laser. It's only 15 minutes. It has 6 different options that you can focus on. In their case, in athlete's case, you would hit the muscle recovery. And the fourth thing, I'm trying to think of, now my mind's.
Did you mention
The
cryo?
cryo, the Halo, the cryo, the salt flow bath. Oh, and sorry, the Prism.
The light stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, the Prism Light Pod is what we're using.
Hey, Tammy, we should get you on ESPN pretty soon, because as many of you know, the Miami Heat have made it all the way to the NBA Finals, which starts tonight. So I think it has all to do with them coming to the Carillon, you know?
Well, only three of the guys on the team come out of the 15, but we're trying to get them all to visit us.
It just depends who the 3 are, you know? So I would go with that advertising if they'll let you. So anyway, and what are some of the other of the 11 touchless services?
I think I mentioned Vibrogenics. It's sound therapy, vibrational. It's in a room that has oxygen pumped into it. It's great for your lymphatic system, but it actually is for exercise. So if you get on it's similar to the power plate. Some people may know that or remember that. Similar, but not exactly. It has better technology. But the Vibrogenics, what it does do is help on working out. Your 20-minute workout is like working out for an hour. It's exactly equivalent. On the other side of Vibrogenics, there's a whole panel for health and healing. When I had bursitis in my knee, I got on the Vibrogenics 3 times a week to help it. It helps lymphatic, tennis elbow, you name it. There's like 50 different health issues or concerns that you may come across as you go through life. And again, you're only doing 20 minutes. It doesn't matter whether you're exercising or for health and wellness. And then we have Rasha, which is Dr. Jerry created it. He actually, it's very similar to Vibrogenics because it's technology that sound waves, but Rasha focuses on the brain. So one of our treatments in Rasha is a 30-minute treatment to reduce anxiety. And what it does is balance the right and left hemisphere of the brain. So it calms it, it soothes it. It also, believe it or not, we can do custom programming. Believe it or not, if you have a child that's autistic, they've done many studies, Dr. Jerry's done many studies, and it's definitely helped. He had one particular child who never spoke, and after 2 months of sessions, that child was speaking. So it can be much more intense. We're using it currently for calming and reducing anxiety, but there's many, many, many wonderful surprises that Rasha brings along the way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then Pure Wave is a whole room that actually, believe it or not, has a TV on the wall and has like a kaleidoscope. And then there's a wall with just like stars in the sky. But really what it is the lounge chair itself is vibra acoustic. But it does eliminate, for all of us, we're all in technology, right? We're all have computers and cell phones, and people live by cell towers and electric towers. We're around it all the time. So what Pure Wave and Vemi does, it does help eliminate and reduce the sticky static from the cell, as well as it improves circulation, helps detox, helps the metabolism. You know, so it's a beautiful experience to walk into, and one, you definitely can relax, and it will help you with sleep beyond being helpful and healthy for you. Also, Spa Wave is a technology Greenie has from Germany. What is great about that? Our managing director, Patrick, that's his number one go-to for sleep. He has issues with sleeping. So he loves to go in there and lay down. It's a water pillow top, color therapy, and it'll take you to a beta sleep in 9 minutes. So if you have sleep issues,
wow. That's great.
The Wave is wonderful to get on. And we talked about Avalanche. We also have something called Spiro, which is very hydrating for the skin, very relaxing. And then Dermalux, which is, red light therapy, which is, helps reduce the aging process and
that's
help.
Great. That's great. So I have two more questions for you. Then I'm going to go back to Amy a little bit, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure.
I was going to ask my second question second, but I got so excited by your list of modalities. I'm going to ask that one first. Do you offer a tour, or how can people on the phone, if they want to come down to the Carillon, or is there a special package or special offering where if they want to come in and meet you or try some of these things? Is there anything like that? Or if not, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if there's someone who would love to come in and tour, we would tour anybody, show them the 11 different options, share with them the benefits of each one. And then, like I said, if you buy a package, if you buy 4 of the different experiences, like Prism is only 15 minutes because it's like getting in a capsule of laser light therapy. That's only 15 minutes. Vibrogenics is 20 minutes. Salt float bath, you can do 30 minutes or an hour. Vemi is a 30-minute treatment. Halo, 25 minutes. So you can pick 4 different things, and we'll give you $40 off. And you can also have a day pass, hang out at the beach. We'll give you a beach chair. We have a saltwater swimming pool at the spa pool called the Atlantic. We have a cabana pool that is facing the ocean if you don't want to go on the beach. So if you purchase 4 of those, you get $40 off, and you get to enjoy the whole property. No,
that's great. I spent 3-4 hours there, and I honestly did not want to leave. So I encourage all of you to check out the Carillon. It's an incredible property, and Tammy and the team is just awesome. My last question for you, Tammy, is talk a little bit about retail. For people that are going to come in, but then leave and go back to their residence or go back into the community. Tell me how retail and wellness kind of tie in from a Carillon perspective.
Well, thanks for that question, because we're launching actually October 1st or 2nd. Our website it's named Carillon at Home Wellness. So all our partners that I've talked about today, all the equipment that we offer in technology and wellness, people can purchase. It can be shipped to their home, and they can have that experience in their home every day. They don't have to just come to the Carillon, but whether it's the Halo, not the commercial unit, but the in-home unit,
Pocket or the Halo Pod,
or the Pocket itself, people will be able to go to the website and purchase it. And we're going to launch that. And we have a PR firm in New York who's going to help us get the word out that now you can experience all this wellness technology here at the Carillon, but if you want to take it home with you, you can purchase everything right on our website.
No, that's fantastic. Well, let me ask you a question. We've got about 25 minutes left, and I really want us to have about 20 minutes left for people to ask questions. This has been phenomenal, and Tammy, you've been an incredible partner, and we're honored to be part of your touchless services that you offer. So thank you for everything, and thank you for participating. Do either of you have any kind of final comments touchless wellness, as far as what you would, especially for like a day spa, like what are the 2 or 3 things you might add first? Because probably people don't even have the space, or maybe don't have the budget for all 11. So I'm curious, what are the top 2 or 3 you would definitely recommend as the top? And any other final comments on touchless wellness? Tammy, you can go first, and then Amy, you can kind of finish it up, and then we'll open it up to chat.
Well, I think, of course, Halo would be something I would recommend no matter where you are, and especially in a day spa. That's a perfect place because they usually don't have much space. But that, and I have to say the Vemi, I think it's amazing because it gives such an amazing experience. And in day spas in general, they don't have the space, but to be able to create smaller spaces where people can come in and have a pre-treatment to their actual massage, facial, or body treatment, I think that's great. And Prism Pod, Light Pod, I think it's amazing because there's 6 different buttons. So if you want anti-aging, it's there. If you're looking for pain management, you hit that button. If you're looking for muscle recovery, you hit that button. So it's giving you 6 different options inside one capsule, and you don't need a big space for that. So if it was a day spa, I would absolutely recommend that. And then, anything like the Raja takes people to sleep. Anxiety is such a big thing in our community. So, I mean, for me, I would, if I had limited space and I could only pick a couple things, those would be the things that I would pick.
No, thank you very much. Amy, some final thoughts on Touchless from you?
Yeah, I wanted to, because I know most of this conversation has really been about equipment. I wanted all of us to remember, and this is for any type of spa business, that that there's a lot to be said and a lot of data and research to support energy medicine. And, even something as simple and yet profound as Reiki does fall under touchless wellness, because Reiki, right, it is, at the end of the day, very powerful, and certainly something that I think we're going to see more of an increase in interest in. A couple of other things that I just thought I would mention that are over and above what Tammy had mentioned, Steve. There's a company called Normatech. They have air compression and ice compression types of treatments. And these are things that could be, basically done without touching the guest, or could be included potentially, while someone is having a facial or potentially even a massage. And it also can retail fairly well. Lots of different kinds of health benefits to that. And then, I think we're already seeing a huge uptake on percussion or vibration massage. Though, I'm thinking about Theragun as one of them that's quite popular now. But again, those are things that can be obviously used with great health benefits, but also retail very well. And then another piece I was thinking about, I've been working with a company called Nola Pelli, and what I love about Nola Pelli, it's a new type of fabric, breathes better, manages temperature, and it's also more hygienic. And we're seeing people really appreciating being able to sleep better on their sheets. But they do have some product that can be used in the spa. Even just their face cradles can really make a difference for comfort level for guests, but then also really retail well. So I think, there's a lot out there, but my main piece is, what can you integrate into your existing facility, into your existing treatment rooms that will retail well, so that, right, you're staying relevant, you're having something that's new, that's health-based and focused, but that also, I guess, can purchase and take home.
Have you tried the Halo Pocket that Tammy mentioned as well?
Well, yes, if I had my camera, I was going to do show and tell.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been a big fan of halotherapy for many, many years personally, because I had a very ill family member in my home. And so it was an opportunity for all of the health caregivers that came into the home to be able to stay really healthy, right? Because it's so great for respiratory health. And now I have the pocket. So it's been really helpful for me for exercise, especially right now as winter's approaching. And so, yeah, I'm a really big fan.
And people can use it in spas can use it. The reason I brought it up also was you mentioned that it's a way of taking advantage of their existing space and adding something relevant. So spas can then use it as a very simple add-on service to their.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so for me, what we've been doing with a couple of our day spa clients, one in DC actually in particular, is they bought several of them to put into their treatment. So they're basically used at the beginning and end of each treatment. So, the guest gets to take 10 to 15 really deep breaths, which we, typically want our guests to do anyway before a treatment. But at the same time, they're getting the effects, right? The upper respiratory support through the salt. And so we've been starting and ending treatments with that. So, from that standpoint, it's really great. But then we're also obviously, supporting them in selling. At the end of the day, retail is such an important piece. So the Halo Pocket in particular within businesses is excellent as either upsell or just quite frankly, right, as something complementary because it's going to pay for itself in retail sales.
No, that's great, especially obviously with COVID and people's interested in respiratory wellness. So
it's a nice gesture to be able to tell people that you have something that will help support them.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we've got about 17 minutes left. So first of all, I want to thank Tammy. And again, if you want to check out the Carillon, I strongly recommend it. And the new consumer website that's going up in a few days is going to be great. Carillon at Home Wellness. Amy can be found at underatree.com. And I really also recommend, since this is really brought to you by the Global Wellness Institute, that you check out the globalwellnessinstitute.org. There's about 25 or 30 different initiatives covering everything you could possibly think of in wellness. There's incredible research there, articles, really, really great people. So I encourage you to, it's a free site to use. It's phenomenal. It's a great group of people that run the organization. So I'm going to open it up now. I don't know if people have sent chats in yet, but Terry, if you can kind of act as the moderator of the questions, you can just kind of throw the questions out to either myself, Tammy, or Amy. That would be great.
Great. So I guess the good news, bad news is I've been monitoring the chat questions and most of them you have already answered.
Okay.
The biggest question was, how do I find Amy and Tammy? So lots of interest in following up with those folks. So Steve just mentioned where you can find them. However, everybody that participated, registered, and listened in will get an email probably today or first thing tomorrow morning with a link to the recording. I will put in that email links also to Tammy and where she works, and Amy and where she works, as well as the Global Wellness Institute. So all of those will be coming through. Another question, and maybe this is for all of you, is the movement, and this is somewhat halotherapy specific, but the movement from large halo room or whatever you want to call it. It's, in my experience, it's around 10 people in a room with a single halo generator that are all participating in an experience versus the newer, I want my own experience. So I only want 20 minutes versus 40 minutes, or I want to be by myself, or I have very specific needs. There was a lot of interest in this prior to COVID, and some movement towards that, but COVID has obviously accelerated the desire to have a more personalized experience. And I know that Halotherapy Solutions has some new things going on with the Halo Cave and the Halo IR, but I don't know, Steve, if you want to just generally talk about this kind of long-term trend towards a more personalized salt experience,
Yeah, I'll be
as well
happy.
as specifically what you're doing about it.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then Amy, if you want to amplify anything I said or add anything after I say, that would be great too. When I first started this company 5.5 years ago, I would say the industry was about maybe 60 to 70% these large salt rooms, and 20 to 30% either really small salt rooms or pre-built equipment like with booths or beds or smaller cabins. In the last 2 years, last year before COVID, I would say it started shifting to only about 40% of these large salt rooms and 60% more pre-built equipment. Since COVID in the last 3-4 months, I would say pretty close to 95 to 99% of all our inquiries now are these pre-built equipment. Nobody is building large salt rooms anymore. It used to, again, customers don't want to be sitting in a room with 8 or 10 people coughing. It's very expensive to build. And we just have seen tremendous movement to either private halotherapy rooms that are maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, or really the single biggest product that we sell right now is the Halo IR, which is a combination of sauna and infrared. It's the only one infrared sauna and halotherapy. It's the only one in the market. We did a joint development for a year with Clearlight, who's the #1 infrared sauna manufacturer, and we designed it so there wouldn't be any corrosion of the salt. It's super integrated now with the control panels. People are absolutely moving to maximizing their footprint with multiple modalities and offering halotherapy in smaller spaces. Not only are we not seeing large salt rooms anymore, but many of our existing salt room customers are coming back to us to help us redesign and take their 300, 400 square foot salt room and change it into smaller salt rooms or adding some of our pre-built equipment. So this change is not going to slow down. It's incredible what's happened in the last 3-4 months.
Thanks, Steve. So before we go to the next question,
Terry,
Tammy or Amy, any comments on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, Terry, I was just thinking about because we're also, working on projects that are 2 years out, they're under development right now. And so it's been really interesting. We have one client in particular that's in Asia that has decided to reduce their locker room size. And basically, normally we would have shared experiences in the locker rooms. And so they're expanding the footprint slightly of their treatment rooms so that they can have a steam sauna and halo infrared sauna combined into the treatment room. So basically the guest, is checked in and brought directly to their treatment room where they change and they can have pre and after treatments. And, obviously a lot of us as operators, have not necessarily wanted to go that route because the guest is staying in the treatment room longer. But we do predict that guests are going to be willing to pay a premium for the extra time they're in the room to have this very intimate and very private experience. And we were seeing that before COVID, but now we're seeing it quite frequently. So, the good news is that, that some of these things are here to stay, but definitely will be in every treatment room.
Interesting. Okay. Tammy, any comments?
No, I think Amy said it all.
Excellent. Okay. Another question. Can the Halo Pocket be used at the same time as an active Halo IR treatment, or how do these potentially complement each other? And I'll just leave that. I don't know. Tammy has a lot of experience in that, but I'll leave that up to whoever wants to answer it.
Let me try that. The Halo IR is a very all-in-one experience. You can do halotherapy for the first 20 minutes and it starts heating up, which is really the best way to get halotherapy if it's a heated experience, because your pores on your skin start to open and the microparticles get in and really help with inflammation. Same way the heat expands the lungs and you get much better coverage of the salt particles on your lungs, again, to help with inflammation and get rid of mucus. And the far infrared is just great for detoxification and muscle recovery. So that's an all-in-one complete unit. The Halo Pocket is not meant to be used inside or with the Halo IR. It's really a portable unit that you can keep in your purse or your pocket or at home when you're not going into the spa, or as Tammy said, when you travel. I don't travel that much either now, but I certainly use it I use it almost every day now just to build up my immunity, but especially right before I get on a plane, like the hour before, I'll do about 10 deep breaths with the Halo Pocket. And then when I get off the plane, I'll do the same thing. So they're very good complementary solutions, but they're not meant to be done together.
Great answer. Okay, so the next question is about lots of great ideas, but what are some sources for us to look for purchasing these various systems? So for halotherapy solutions, obviously is in the halotherapy business, so that's a great source for halotherapy. But I don't know how to answer, like, what are some sources for day spa owners to look at some of the other modalities that Amy and Tammy have been talking about?
Terry, would it be helpful if we put links to the equipment companies and sent it out to everyone that's on the phone call?
Yes, if you could provide to me some kind of reputable, providers of solutions to spas that have these different modalities,
yes.
I can put them in the email that will go out to everyone with
Great.
the link to the recording.
Yeah. Tammy and I will be happy to do that.
And the other thing is, again, I don't know, Tammy, if you want to get involved with this, but obviously Tammy has some very, very close relationships with many of these vendors. Tammy, I don't know if you want to do some introductions, or would you want to be involved, Tammy, or you want?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I would have I can send, like an overview to anybody that wants. I can send an overview of the 11 different companies and the benefits. And if they have an interest in experiencing it, come to the Carillon. If they have an interest in purchasing for a business, because my relationships are so close to my manufacturers, they actually give me pricing better than if you went right to the manufacturer. So, I'm happy to help anybody with any kind of equipment and answer any questions.
No, that's great. That's great.
I think to make it easy, Tammy and I can work together to put the list together, so it's just one document, Terry, that you can send out.
Perfect. So if you can do that, I can create a blog post and send people a link, or I can send it out in an email, or both. I just think people are just looking for resources. I mean, there was some modalities in there that Tammy mentioned that I hadn't even ever heard of. So it would be good to give people some guidance on how to pursue them. So we've got about 4 minutes left. Those are all the questions that I had on the chat. Are there any other last thoughts, Steve or Tammy or Amy?
I'm just happy to be a part of it. It was a nice afternoon and a nice time talking about what we all love, and that's wellness.
Yeah, Amy?
I don't have anything else to add other than to remind, because I don't know the attendee list for the call, but I think no matter what kind of business you have, just to be strategic and like Steve said, to be aggressive and be bold, but also discerning at the same time. I've seen some really large companies make very, knee-jerk, quick reactions about COVID that I think in the short term might make sense, but long term might not. So I think it's an interesting time as business owners to, be aggressive, but also to be mindful.
That's great. Just to amplify that, kind of what I said earlier, I think in a weird way, COVID has knocked many of us to our knees. The ones that stand up taller and really think through strategically and add a lot of these touchless services are going to be super winners going forward and really providing great health and wellness to your guests and community. So I've never been more optimistic about where the wellness industry is going and how important and vital we are both on a physical and mental wellness to our people. So I just want to say I really, really appreciate Tammy and Amy participating, and Terry, thank you for organizing this. If anybody has any questions, general or questions about halotherapy or anything about the GWI, you can email me directly at steve@halotherapysolutions.com. And again, we'll provide links to Amy and Tammy. And we're going to do these fireside chats every couple of weeks. This is our second one. We've got some really exciting topics and panelists coming up. And again, we'll be sending a recording out to everybody. So feel free to share the recording with anybody you would like. And again, thank you very, very much for your time. And let's get through 2020. 2021 is going to be great. So let's get through 2020.
Thank you,
All
Steve,
right.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.